Wait, is that a train on my property? That was the exact moment my jaw hit the floor. I was standing in my backyard, sipping coffee, when I heard the rumbling of wheels on metal. I thought I was dreaming. But no, my HOA had actually built a mini commuter train track that ran straight across my land, without asking, without permission, without even telling me. And that one reckless move, it cost them everything. I had bought my dream property on the edge of a quiet suburban neighborhood. Wide yard, tall trees, and just enough land to feel private. The catch? It was under the rule of an HOA. At first, I thought, no big deal. I'll mow my lawn, keep things tidy, and they'll leave me alone. Boy, was I wrong. The HOA president, a woman we'll call Karen, had a vision for the neighborhood. She wanted to modernize it. More amenities, more projects, more fees. And worst of all, she thought she could use anyone's property to make it happen. One evening, at a community meeting, Karen stood up with a big smile. "Imagine this," she said, clicking her PowerPoint. "A private neighborhood shuttle train that makes stops at every corner. No more long walks. No more cars cluttering our streets. Just a cute little train." Some people clapped politely. Others were confused. And me? I didn't think much of it. I figured they'd never actually build something that ridiculous. But a month later, I was proven wrong. It was a Saturday morning when I first heard the noise. A grinding, metallic screech. I stepped outside, and what do I see? A small construction crew laying down steel rails right through the edge of my property, tearing up my fence in the process. "Hey!" I shouted, storming toward them. "What the hell are you doing?" One worker shrugged. "HOA told us this land was cleared." Cleared. I owned this land. My deed was crystal clear. I marched straight to the HOA office, papers in hand. Karen was sitting there with her usual smug grin. "Karen," I said, slamming my deed onto her desk, "you're building on my land. This is trespassing." She waved her hand like it was nothing. "Don't be dramatic. It's for the community. And besides, your property line is flexible." Flexible? I barked. "Property lines aren't flexible. They're legal." She leaned back, sipping her coffee. "Look, you should be honored. Your land is helping improve our neighborhood. If you resist, well, let's just say the HOA has ways of making things unpleasant." Translation: she was threatening me. That was the moment I knew. This wasn't a mistake. This was deliberate. Over the next 2 weeks, the train project moved full steam ahead. They laid more track, built a small stop right near my backyard, and even had the nerve to run their first test ride. And when I tried to block it, I got slapped with HOA violation notices. According to them, my fence was now improperly aligned. My shed obstructed community development. Even my mailbox was non-compliant. They were coming at me from every angle, trying to bully me into silence. But what Karen didn't know was who she was dealing with. See, I wasn't just some homeowner. I was a real estate attorney. I had spent years in courtrooms dealing with land disputes, zoning laws, and HOA overreach. If there was one thing I knew better than anyone, it was how to use the law against bullies. So while they were busy laying tracks, I was busy pulling records. Deeds, plats, zoning permits, everything. And what I found? The HOA had cut every corner possible. They hadn't gotten proper approval from the city, hadn't secured right-of-way permissions, and worst of all, they had blatantly ignored my deeded property lines. This wasn't just illegal. It was fraud. Instead of rushing to court, I decided to let Karen dig her own grave. I kept my cool, acted frustrated but helpless, and meanwhile, quietly filed a lawsuit. And then I went one step further. I bought the lot where the HOA office was built. See, years back, the HOA had failed to renew their paperwork properly. Their office building wasn't actually owned by the association. It was leased land. And the lease expired. When I tracked down the rightful owner, He was more than happy to sell it to me. Just like that, the HOA's headquarters belonged to me. When the day of the hearing came, Karen strutted in like she already won. "Your Honor," she began, "this man is being unreasonable. The train benefits everyone. He's just greedy." I calmly slid my folder of evidence across the table. "Actually, Your Honor, the HOA has illegally trespassed on my land, violated multiple zoning codes, and caused property damage. And here's video proof of their contractors admitting they didn't have permits." The judge raised an eyebrow, flipping through the papers. Karen's smugness melted fast. And then, I dropped the bomb. "Furthermore, Your Honor, as of last week, I am the legal owner of the property where the HOA office currently stands. Which means they are, at this very moment, trespassing in my building." The courtroom went dead silent. The judge looked at Karen. "Is this true?" Karen stammered. That can't be." But it was. The paperwork was ironclad. The judge ruled in my favor on every count. The HOA was ordered to remove the train tracks immediately, pay damages for the destruction of my fence and land, cease all fines and violations against me. But the best part? Since I now owned their office building, the HOA was given 30 days to vacate. And what did I do with that building? I donated it to a local children's charity that had been desperate for space. The charity turned it into a community center, offering tutoring, after-school programs, and food drives. So instead of being the HOA's headquarters of harassment, the building became a hub for kindness and support. When the news spread, the neighborhood was buzzing. People who had been scared of the HOA for years were suddenly free. No more bogus fines, no more harassment, no more Karen strutting around like a queen. Neighbors started stopping by my house just to say thank you. Some even brought pies and casseroles as if I was some local hero. And as for Karen, she resigned from the HOA in disgrace. Her little train project became the laughingstock of the entire town. Every time I walk past that old office building, now filled with kids laughing and families getting help, I smile. Because in the end, the HOA didn't just lose their tracks or their office. They lost the very power they had abused for so long. So, what's the takeaway? Simple. When people try to take what's yours, you don't always need to shout, fight, or stoop to their level. Sometimes, the smartest move is patience, strategy, and letting the truth do the heavy lifting. Karen and her HOA thought they could roll right over me, literally, with a train. But instead, they got derailed by their own arrogance. And the sweetest part? Turning their former base of power into something that actually helps people. Because sometimes, the best revenge is giving back.